Well, a new school year is upon us, and yes, it is definitely different. Parents are certainly playing a much bigger role, and our attitude toward certain subjects can make a big difference, especially when it comes to math. Now, did you cringe? We're going to talk about this and math phobia and how it can affect your child's ability to succeed in math. Here with more, Wendy Traynor, Assistant Professor of Mathematics at King University. Wendy, always good to get to chat with you.
Yeah, I always love my visits.
Well, good. And I love our subject today because when people hear math already, parents have this, this thought process that can hit almost immediately when it comes to the word math.
Right? The word phobia is not an exaggeration. It's a fear response. There are parents and students alike that would have the same response to a math problem that I would seeing a snake slither out in front of me. So it is very real, but it's also very controllable.
And you say that our attitudes can really affect our children without us really even knowing it.
Right, absolutely. So sometimes parents, in an effort in their minds to make a child feel better, will say, you know what, you got that from me. I was never good at math, so that's why you're struggling. And what happens, and every research project about this has shown the same results, is that instills a higher level of math anxiety than was there before, and it lowers that student's ability to be successful in math.
Yeah, it almost creates a self-fulfilling prophecy then. It sort of tells them that, don't worry, you're not going to be good either.
That's right. It is not genetic, although it is widely believed by some to be genetic. So when you tell a student there are genetic reasons why they might struggle with a problem, it will shut down their brain's ability to problem solve. It's kind of like if there's a blockage in an artery, the heart cannot pump blood to the rest of the system. It's the same way the brain works. And so parents, especially during this time, while their children are spending more time at home learning, it's really important what parents say to their child, and that you don't necessarily, as parents, have to correct your own fear of math, but you do need to not instill that to your child. So being very careful about what you say, rather than say, well, I wasn't good at math either, remind them of this, that a lot of people don't understand. People that are very good at math and people who are very afraid at math, they both get problems wrong all the time. The difference is what happens when you get a problem wrong. And math is important not because you're expected to get the right answers all the time the first time. The process is when you get it wrong, what do you do? And if a child believes they're genetically predisposed to getting it wrong, then what they say is, see, I'm just not good at math. When what really, it's just a matter of, okay, let's go back and look at the steps and let's find where it went wrong. And that's the difference between somebody who's confident and somebody who's not. But all children can learn that if they just not worry about getting a problem wrong, worry about finding the error.
Which is why I think a lot of times when it comes to that math homework, teachers want to see their work because they want to be able to take them through so they can problem solve, and it really does help them in other aspects of their life.
The fine details are really important in life, and that's what math is all about. So showing that work is how a student is able to go back and look through the fine details and say, oh my gosh, I said 4 times 2 was 6, just something small. So getting a wrong answer might not mean I don't understand math. It might mean I said 4 times 2 was 6.
And Wendy, what about for parents who do struggle with this topic when it comes to their kids asking them? There's nothing more heartbreaking as a parent than not being able to provide those answers and that help. And a lot of those parents are getting those questions right now.
Especially right now. So I would say, number one, those educators, those hardworking educators have been preparing all summer for this as best they could. So I would say sit down with that student and look at the resources they were given. Most likely they were given either a video or a sample problem that's almost identical to what they're trying to solve. And with a parent who's saying, hey, let's sit through this together and let's go line by line and let's see what the teacher did that we did not do, or let's see where our error is. But I would say use the resources the teacher has provided first. And if there needs to be more than that, Khan Academy, KHAN Academy, is a great resource for seeing more examples. This is where I would caution parents to definitely be involved. If the decision is made to look for more resources, check with the teacher about what websites would be appropriate to do so. There are some websites that students are using that are not helpful, that are not that have incorrect information. And if a student uses one of those, they may unwittingly learn an incorrect method, or they may be tempted to use that to then take that solution and send it as their own. And we don't want that to happen, obviously.
Absolutely. You mentioned that communication, and I think during this time especially, it's so important for parents to just stay involved. I know it's stressful for both parent and teacher, but we just got to all hang in there together, right?
Absolutely. And one of the great things that the suggestions are is if there's a particularly math anxious student, before they begin a math problem, allow them to verbalize what they're feeling, what they're afraid of. Sometimes the research shows just letting them express that already reduces their anxiety. And when you can quiet that part, that anxious part of your brain, it's a little bit able to devote more resources to that problem solving. Bedtime stories that have math components to them is a really important part for younger students as well, so that the only time they do math with their parents is not when they're trying to do schoolwork at a higher stress level. So that helps too.
Absolutely. And just being mindful, I guess, as to how we are, our attitudes certainly say a lot. So if we can be encouraging and sort of help them with that problem solving, I would imagine that'll go a long way.
Absolutely right. What you say has massive consequences. So try to keep your own anxiety at bay, be encouraging, same way as you would with sports. You would not tell a student before they go up to bat, you know what, I was terrible at baseball and softball, you're probably not going to hit the ball. Nobody would say that. So make sure you don't do that when it comes to math either.
Oh, some wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Wendy. We certainly appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Amy.
All right. If you would like more information or you'd like to get in touch, you can always find her at an email and a website there for more information. Again, Wendy is with King University. We'll be right back.